contributions of all black people. In 1926, Woodson pioneered the celebration of Negro History Week. This led to the establishment of Black History Month in February of 1976. Carter G. Woodson is the father of what we know now as Black History Month.
Good morning again, everyone. Everyone looks so happy today. I am Christy Johnson, and I will be your MC for today. We'll start with the native of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, Miss Pauline Lawrence, who is 108 years old. Her daughter, Miss Patricia Battle, will be speaking on her behalf. Let's give God a hand clap of praise.
Good morning. It gives me an honor to be here to represent my mother. I am Miss Pauline Lawrence's daughter, Patricia Battle. I am Pauline Lawrence's daughter. Miss Pauline Lawrence is 108 years old. She was born September the 14th, 1916, in the area around Ballabur, North Carolina. My mother's mother's name was Annie Mae Cooper Henderson. Her father's name was Father Jack Henderson, preceded her in death many years ago. My mother died when she was 15 years old. My mother had to raise 7 kids because she was the oldest one. And out of the 7 kids, she was the only one still surviving. I give honor to her. She worked on farm, she did peanuts, she shook tobacco, and through it all, God still got her here. She's not able to do what we normally want her to do, but she's able to get around. She talks, she's very strong, and she eats a lot. But through it all, God has saw her to see another year. Hopefully this year, she will see her 109th birthday on September the 14th. We usually honor her by giving her a party every year at 611 Hendrick Street. So if you're in that community during that time, you are welcome to come back. And thank you again for Pauline Lawrence being my mother. Thank you.
Helene Gay, read by Maya Higgins.
Good morning. Helen Gay was the first African American woman to serve on the Rocky Mount City Council. She served for 20 years on the council and also served as mayor pro tem 4 times. The Rocky Mount native was instrumental in key downtown revitalization projects, and the city honored her impressive drive and persistence by naming its renovated train station the Helen P. Gay Rocky Mount Historic Train Station. Gay, who was 92 years old, graduated from Barbara Scotta College and also attended State College, which is now North Carolina State University. The Rocky Mount resident received numerous merit and service awards and was inducted into the Twin County Hall of Fame, which honors citizens of Edgecombe and Nash counties. She was awarded one of the state's highest orders, which is the Order of the Longleaf Pine.
Buck Leonard, read by Derek Shelton.
Good morning. Buck Leonard is one of the world's greatest baseball players to ever play the game. He's a Hall of Famer and known to be one of the greatest hitters ever. This is Rocky Mount's Black History.
Angela Bryant, read by Naisha Deans.
Good morning. Rocky Mount's Black History and we are highlighting former state Senate Representative Angela Bryant. Angela served as the second black female to serve on the Rocky Mount City Council and the first black female from Rocky Mount to serve as a state representative. This is Rocky Mount's Black history, and she was born on December 9th in 1951.
Loretta Braswell, rep by Taylor Pearson. I'm gonna need y'all to start clapping a little louder because these kids have done so much practice.
Good morning. It's only right that we highlight Loretta Braswell. Loretta Braswell is the first black female department head to be hired by the city of Rocky Mount in 1998. She has since led Citizens Academy, which is one of the most informative programs for Rocky Mount citizens. The program is an awareness of how local government works and how it impacts their daily lives. This program has been renamed in honor of this public servant. Ms. Loretta Braswell is Rocky Mount's Black history.
Now we will have recognition from Amari Janae Hagans.
Okay. Hey, again. All right, right now we'll be recognizing Michael DeLoach that could not be with us today. His trademark is the Dirty Gritty game, which was crafted on the playground and courts of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. It helped him become one of the NCAA's top scorers at Norfolk State and carve out a 10-year professional career in Europe. Rocky Mount has never been far from DeLoach's heart or mind. He was a high school star at Northern Nash High School with the rare Division I talent to come right out of Rocky Mount. Now DeLoach turns to the next chapter in his life. For the time being, that means co-managing the restaurant, Mo and Dee's Restaurant, Grill and Bar. Go check him out. With his father and uncle in Rocky Mount, he also runs his own foundation, the Motivation Foundation, which focuses on helping young youth to get opportunities through education and sports. A quote from Mo DeLoach is, "I always try to give back to my community, whether it's basketball camp, a toy drive, a book bag giveaway. It's all about giving the youth what they need to get to that next level in life." Okay, and now I would like to recognize the following guests, so please remain standing after you hear your name is called. Miss Sonia Johnson, daughter of Mr. Charles D. Johnson and Mrs. Maxine. Elder Jolly Manning, he played for the Globetrotters for 8 years all over the world. Coach Michael Gainey and Mrs. Coach Pam Gainey, they even coached my father through his high school athletic career. They impacted the lives of many other young lives in this city. Thank you. Coach Curtis Rushing and Mrs. Venetia Rushing. All right. Coach Rushing also had an impact on my father's life and many other young lives in this city. And Mrs. Rushing was one of my favorite teachers when I was in elementary school, and she inspired me tremendously. We also have Reverend Thomas Walker and Mrs. Teresa Walker for your contributions to the people of Rocky Mount. And we have a word from Mr. Walker.
I don't know how we managed to have this to happen, but we have 2 engagements on today. But nevertheless, Pastor Walker wanted to give you all a message at this time, so we recorded it. Okay. Make sure I get it right.
This is Reverend Thomas Walker here, and want to thank all of my friends and loved ones out there for choosing me for this award.
Thank you from Dr. Thomas L. Walker and myself. Y'all be blessed.
All right, this is what Black history means to me. So let's give them all a hand clap of praise. Thank you.
Reverend Thomas Walker, read by Ty Walker, great grandson.
Good morning. I'm going to be presenting my grandfather, Reverend Dr. Thomas Walker, prostate cancer survivor, and pastor at Ebenezer Baptist Missionary, Rocky Mount, North Carolina. As a gospel recording artist, Dr. Walker has had his share of successes. His anointed messages have left many crying, "Must I have to be saved?" His gold recording, "One Day at a Time," continues to inspire the hearts of many across the nation. In 1996, Dr. Walker was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He began to gather information from any available source, both written and spoken. His shocking discoveries led him to write Brother to Brother, You Don't Have to Die of Prostate Cancer. This book seeks to empower men and their families through education. Dr. Thomas L. Walker was called to pastor the Ebenezer Missionary Baptist Church in Rocky Mount, North Carolina in 1970. At the age of 22, since that time, this native of Rocky Mount, North Carolina has spent his life serving both his community and fellow man. As a pastor, Dr. Walker has labored to build a community of excellence. TV and radio ministries, a daycare center, a tutorial program, and ministerial training are just a few of the church's outreach programs. In addition, the church has a nonprofit corporation called the EBC ATOM Project, Inc., a program aimed at improving the quality of life for lower and middle income citizens. Dr. Walker is one community leader who is a mover and a shaker, one who fights for the rights of the common man.
Curtis Rushing, read by Venetia Rushing, wife.
And if you all can hear me, I'm not going to use this, okay? Can everybody hear me? Okay, they said yes, Pastor Connie. Oh, it's recording. I'm sorry. I follow directions. Hello, my name is Venetia Moore Rushing, Miss V to some. First, I've only been given 3 or 4 minutes to do this, and I don't know how I can fit him into 3 minutes. But I'm going to try. I'd like to introduce to some and to others, maybe just fill in a few blanks. As I look around, I see a few of you who may know him very well, but I can attest to the fact that today there are none of you that know him better than yours truly. I first met this person about 50 years ago, 52 to be exact. We were both college freshmen on the campus of Winston-Salem State University. He had gotten to campus a whole week early before everybody else, and he was trying to be the best football player he thought he could be, but he was there on a 50-50 scholarship, athletic and academic. Coming in as a high school star tight end from Parkview High School in Monroe, North Carolina, he was determined to make a name for himself at this little HBCU. You see, if he'd had it his way, he would have been a pre-law student at East Carolina University in Greenville. A few y'all in the house, that's okay. But this young man, even back then, was thinking of others, trying to make sure that they had what they needed. So he made a sacrifice for family, and came over there to meet me at Winston-Salem. You see, when he was just 7 years old, his father was tragically killed in an auto accident, leaving him the man-child of the household. Being the oldest of 5 children at the time, took on a new agenda for him. In his mind, his carefree days were gone, and it became his responsibility to guide, lead, secure, encourage, and even sometimes feed, clean, dress, and even tie some shoes, whatever was needed to help his mom. Now a single parent in a very big family. Growing up wasn't easy for him. Imagine being the only black child in an entire school back in the 60s, just to help your community make a political statement. You've all heard the story of Ruby Bridges. First Ruby Bridges, here in person. Sounds like somebody you know? A special person willing to sacrifice, to provide for and help others. Some of you might call him, I don't think they're here yet, Father. Some of you might call him Dad. Some of you know him as a friend. Some of you as a teacher, or just plain coach. I know him as husband. Yes, Coach Curtis Rushing. This man has proudly worn the title and done the job of loving, teaching, and coaching the children of North Carolina for 49 years. His career began in Monroe, North Carolina, in Union County Schools at Sun Valley High School. As a defensive lineman coach in football, coaching varsity basketball, and spring track and field. After 6 years, we moved to from Monroe here to Rocky Mount, taking on the teaching and coaching responsibilities at the famed Rocky Mount Senior High School Griffons. He is a lifetime member of NCAE, the Professional Teachers Organization, a 49 member of NCCA, the Professional Coaches Organization, and now I'm not a numbers person at all. Not at all, Pastor Connie, but just doing a little bit of rudimentary math. Let's see, that's 30 students per class, 4 classes a day, 5 days a week. That's like 6,620 people, children I'm talking about, plus 20 basketball players times 49 years. That's like 980 basketball players. 53 football players times 49 is about 2,597. That gives us a total of how many student lives he's touched of over 10,300 children in a career. That's a conservative number. I kind of bumped it down. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a phenomenal achievement for one man in a lifetime. As we wonder why everybody knows Coach, that's why. As I mentioned earlier, I'm married to this wonderful, selfless, giving person. He's also the proud father of 2, Curtis Ramon, Carl and Estelle, both having a little bit of his name in them, and some more. And sometimes he's caretaker to Zoe too, Fuzzy Zoe, who's at home for her first time by herself today. Now, I'm all out of time, so I can't say much more, but I don't think he is or has ever lived a raggedy life. If there are any students from Rocky Mount Senior High, the new Rocky Mount Senior High, where he's presently subbing, and Nash Central and Northern Dash, any Rocky Mount students here, please stand. Anybody that's ever been to Rocky Mount Senior High, if he's touched your life in any way, please stand. Thank you. Keep standing for just a moment, because I want him to know that this is from you all. I hope you know, Coach. I hope you know how much you're loved, how many people care, how often someone says your name, if just whispered in a prayer. I hope you know how many lives you've touched by what you do, how high the hopes, how deep they need to know you've been there true. I hope you know how heaven sees the difference you can make, the unique role, the special road that only you can take. I hope you know God's love for you since long before your birth, his great desire to go with you anywhere on earth. For if you know, you'll venture forth with faith and joy and power and walk with the love that's yours today and every single hour. Coach, that's for you. Thank you.
James Bond, read by Kamari Lynch.
Good morning. Today I will be talking about James Boyd, who was an Olympic boxer. James Boyd of Rocky Mount joined the United States Army after graduating from Booker T. Washington High School in 1947. While in the Army, he qualified for 1956 Summer Olympics held in Melbourne, Australia, where he won a gold medal as a boxer in the lightweight heavy class. Boyd was also the National Golden Gloves lightweight heavy champion of 1956, born November 30th, 1930.
Katie Pope Hunter, read by Amari Janae Higgins.
Today we honor Officer Katie Pope Hunter. Ms. Hunter was born in Halifax County, and her family moved to Rocky Mount, North Carolina a short time later. Ms. Hunter was the first African-American woman hired with the Rocky Mount Police Department in 1974. Hunter served in a variety of capacities within the agency. Hunter retired from the Rocky Mount Police Department in 1991. Ms. Hunter had a heart for helping people and a strong passion and love for children. She started fostering children who were abused and neglected in 1977. Hunter opened up a children's daycare in 1994 called the Pope Family's Child Care. Ms. Hunter adopted a newborn son, Joey Pope, in 1995, whom tragically was killed in 2019 in a motor vehicle collision. Hunter was the first in her family to choose law enforcement as a profession, but she wouldn't be the last. Hunter's son, Tim Pope, followed in his mother's footsteps and joined the Rocky Mount Police Department also in 1995. 3 years after Hunter's retirement, Tim Pope later joined the North Carolina State Highway Patrol. Retired Officer Katie Pope Hunter died in 2015 at the age of 63. Two sons, Tim Pope and Archie Pope, survives her. Thank you so much.
Thelonious Monk, read by Kaya Jones.
Good morning. On October 10th, 1917, Thelonious Monk was born in Rocky Mount. Though Monk lived most of his life in Manhattan, his North Carolina roots ran deep. Monk's style was original and unorthodox, incorporating elements of stride piano and gospel to create a rhythm virtuosity, striking dissonant sounds, and playing skewed melodies. He collaborated with Charlie Parker, John Coltrane, and many other noted jazz musicians at the time. Along with Dizzy Gillespie, another one of his collaborators, Monk is credited as an architect of bebop. The third composition he copyrighted and his first as a sole composer was also his best known round midnight. Personally, Monk had a reputation as the ultimate hipster with his goatee, skull cap, and bamboo-rimmed sunglasses. He often left his keyboard to dance while on stage and at random moments on the street or in public spaces would twirl for several minutes. Viewed by some as temperamental and eccentric, he is described by his biographer Robin Kelly as essentially rebellious. Kelly documented that Monk suffered from bipolar disorder most of his adult life. In 1972, Monk withdrew from public appearances and was hospitalized intermittently until his death. Among his extended stands was a week at the Frog and Nighttown in Raleigh's Cameron Village in 1970. A park in his hometown has carried his name since 2000. He was born October 10th, 1917, and he died February 17th, 1982.
Dread Wimberley, read by Jock Battle.
Good morning, everyone. Born in 1848 on Walnut Plantation in Edgecombe County, a slave to the Battle family, Dread Wimberley chose to continue to work for the Battle family after the Civil War. He managed the Walnut Creek farm in Edgecombe County and later moved to Rocky Mount, where he was a carpenter. Mr. Wimberley married his wife, Keziah, in 1870 and had 5 children. He married Ella Jenkins in 1891 and had 6 children. He has elected to the North Carolina House in 1879 and in 1887 and in the North Carolina Senate in 1889. A supporter of the highways and of education, he voted to establish the North Carolina Agricultural and Mechanical School. His name in Rocky Mount is a historical nation landmark.
Reverend Luther Barnes, read by Haggie Davis.
Good morning. Reverend Luther Barnes. He is an ordained minister and native son of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. He was born on March 10th, 1954. He is a record producer, director, songwriter, composer, and lead singer. He sang the national anthem for the Carolina Mudcats baseball game. He is currently the senior pastor and founder of the Restoration Worship Center, established in January 2014.
Coach Miss Pam Gainey, read by Delilah Shelton.
Good morning. We are highlighting Coach Mrs. Pam Gainey. Mrs. Gainey is the first black female coach at Rocky Mount High School. In her tenure, she's won numerous of conference championships, games, and stellar accolades. This is Rocky Mount's Black History.
Wanda Barnes, read by Nia Bullock.
Good morning, everyone. I will be highlighting Wanda Barnes. Wanda Barnes is a native of Rocky Mount, North Carolina. She is the niece of the late gospel legend F.C. Barnes. This amazing recording artist has traveled over the country and recorded with the renowned Stellar Award-winning Barnes family, F.C. Barnes, and Luther Barnes. She has sung for years with the Red Bud Holy Choir and her family of Greek. She is a powerhouse in the gospel music industry.
Dr. James Edward Bryant, rep by Isaiah Jones.
Morning, morning. I'll be highlighting Dr. James Edward Bryant. Edgecombe County native, graduated from North Carolina A&T, Aggie Pride, in 1951. He obtained his medical degree from Howard University in 1960 and practiced medicine for 40 years, during which time he served thousands of patients. Dr. Bryant was the first African-American physician to have hospital privileges at Parkview and Nash General Hospitals. He was an active member of several medical associations and served in Rocky Mount chapter of the NAACP, the Rocky Mount chapter of Commerce, and his college alumni associations. He was a lifetime member of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, a charter member of Epsilon Sigma chapter, and chairman of Mount Zion First Baptist Church Board of Trustees for 18 years.
Well, y'all seem like y'all finally got some energy in you guys now. But next we have Phil Ford, rep by Asher Wilson. Charles O. Johnson, rep by Sonia Johnson, daughter.
Good morning, y'all, and I'd like to thank my cousin, Pastor Connie. Y'all call her Pastor Connie, I just call her Connie. My cut buddy for inviting me, and the committee for inviting me to speak. And I'm covering my father, but within that, I'm covering some other people, because how many of y'all know that it takes a team to make a great person? They don't do it by themselves. So, and a lot of people that you all covered up here, I know a lot of them, and like Dr. Bryant was my doctor when I was little, so it was my doctor, my mama's doctor, my daddy's doctor, so yeah, you know, a lot of these people, Wanda Barnes, I call my friend Wanda, and I hit the wrong Wanda, and I'm calling Wanda, and I'm like, Wanda, I'm glad I didn't start off with something I wasn't supposed to say, because I'm calling you and not my other Wanda, so. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get into this, because mine is going to be a little bit longer, but I want the children in here to pay attention, and I'm proud of y'all for looking into these people. But when you get back home, Google them a little further, or call some of their folks and ask them really about them, because it's a little bit more on a few of them that I know that y'all need to know and stuff. And I hope it encourages y'all to do good and go further. But I'm going to start off mine with Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And so I got to say, that's my father. I wasn't expecting it, but well, hey, it's all my life. It's all I know. So I am Sonia Johnson. I am Charles O. Johnson's girl and Maxine Johnson. Well, my mama's name was Sarah Maxine, but Maxine Johnson's daughter. And for all my life, everywhere I went down here in Rocky Mount, oh, you Charles O's girl. Oh, you Maxine's daughter. So I'm proud of both of them. But behind every great man is a good woman, and that was my mama. So, and both my parents, I gotta say, some of y'all are gonna know what I'm talking about. Some of you older ones, they came from, well, I don't wanna say nothing. They came from drafty old houses. Some of them that if you pulled a board, they would fall down. That's where they came from. They were sharecroppers' children. And for the children that don't know what sharecroppers are, sharecroppers were when you worked in the field all day for some white person that let you stay in their house And sometimes they didn't charge you for letting you stay in their house. Sometimes they did, but they paid you whatever they wanted to pay you for that day's work. And that's what sharecropping was. But they came from that and they made something out of themselves. Now, my daddy started out at 16 years old at Myers Grocery Store, and that's in Enfield. We grew up in Halifax County. My father was from Halifax County. And one of the stories, when my dad was at Myers Grocery Store, the Myers were Jewish, but back then, Jewish people are basically white, lighter skinned. They hid my dad in the closet one day because the Ku Klux Klan was coming down the street, hosing black people down and beating black people down the main street of Enfield. So to keep him safe, they hid him in the closet until everything cleared on the street and he could come out then. And I appreciate them for that. Well, sometimes after that, I guess something opened up over at WCEC, and he went over there to become a janitor. And so when he went over there to become a janitor, there was a guy named Coot that was an engineer there, white guy named Coot, and he asked Coot if he would show him how to work the board. And Coot showed him how to work the board. And back then, I would say my father was the first person on the radio in Rocky Mount, black, but he wasn't. There was a man named Joe Louis Hunter, who was the very first person on the air, who was a black guy. And there was a family named the Warners that owned WCEC and WFMA. And the reason why they opened it up to black people was because we buy stuff. Now, y'all know y'all looking at clothes and cars and everything all the time. We buy stuff, and I've just found this out recently because I'm going back through my mom and my daddy's papers since my mom passed. Joe Warner decided that, hey, these black people buy stuff. I need to sell advertising to make money. So how am I going to make money? I need to engage them in music on my station so I can sell to these other people and sell that, hey, I can get these black people in your business to buy these clothes and this stuff. But as I was saying, my daddy started at WCEC and he opened the mic in 1963. I don't know the date in 1963. I was not born then. But he started in 1963 on the radio at 17 years old. And he met my mom at 17. My dad had a lot of stuff going on at the same time all the time. But my mother was 15 years old, and they met at Ivory Hill Baptist Church. I have no clue what my daddy was doing at Ivory Hill Baptist Church that day, except my grandma and granddaddy went there. But they met 1963. So fast forward, my father had a radio show. He was the Big O, and he had a show called Club 810. And some of y'all that are older here from Rocky Mount might remember Club 810. That show was 30 minutes at first, and it branched out. And when I came along, I remember as a little girl, when they branched out to doing gospel music on WCEC, I would sneak in behind Daddy. I don't know how he took me to work, but he took me to work. And the room that he was broadcasting in was as big as a closet. As a matter of fact, I was looking at my bathroom this morning thinking, dog, Daddy's broadcast room smaller than my bathroom and my bedroom. But I sneak in there behind him, and Luther Barnes, well, Reverend F.C. Barnes, would bring, back then, if you were going to come over the air and broadcast live, you had to bring all the instruments in and all the people that were playing the instruments in. And so I'd peek over the little window and peek at them setting up. And so if I was 4, that means Luther was about 14 then. And stuff, and they would set up and play. But Dad was on Club 810 for quite a while, and during that time, he started Johnson's Used Cars, and he started that with his buddy Herman T. Jones. They grew up together out in the country. He also started a record store in Enfield at the time. He started a company called Gold Leaf Record Company. He also got together with a group of guys that I don't even know how they met, but named Mel and Tim. They did a song called Starting All Over Again. Some of y'all might remember that. Hall and Oates did that song a little bit later, and my dad got a gold record for that song that I have at my house today. And Mel and Tim, actually while he was at WCEC, he also got a pilot's license. So he got a pilot's license to fly his own airplane. But during that time, there was a man here named William Billy Wynn. He had inherited his father's radio station, WEED. Now, WEED didn't stand for weed like that. It is named weed, but it stood for Rocky Mount's golden weed, which was tobacco. That was what it was named after. But Billy also had an FM frequency that they weren't doing anything with, and they needed to do something with it because the broadcasting, they'll take your signal if you're not doing anything with it after a while. So he offered it to Daddy because Daddy was over on that other station with a shorter period of time, and he figured, hey, I can let you do something with my frequency, and you can expand it and be on 24/7. So my dad got together with his cousin Roger. And they talked and talked and talked. But my dad took him up on the offer and started WRSV Soul 92. Now WRSV actually stands for Rocky Mount's Soul Voice. So those letters had meaning and have meaning today. And so the first DJs to open the mic at WRSV were my dad, Charles O. Johnson, his cousin, Roger Wiggins, a man named Samuel Adams that we call Uncle Sam, Reverend Thomas L. Walker, and my cousin's cousin that we call Larry Donnell, Larry Taylor. Soon after, the 16-year-old named Milton Garrett came in and asked if he could learn how to do that. And Dad took him under his wings, and Milton was the first 16-year-old to work at the station. Now, the station has had various locations. It started out where the train station is. There used to be a gas station on the corner where the train station is, and then there was a building right beside that. That building right beside that was the first place for WRSV. Then it moved down to Gray Street, right across from where we are now. That building that's right across the street was the second location. The third location was down on One Weed Road, and that was after Dad purchased WRSV and Weed. And then the last location was in my mama's building, and we'll get to that. But Dad and, as far as getting Dad's thing with radio, during that time, you'd have, a child, you take for granted many things. You'd have certain stuff come up like James Brown calling the radio station. And I remember the story that James Brown called a radio station, and one of the girls answered and said, "Who is this?" And he said, "James Brown. Can I speak Charles O?" And she's like, "Okay, hold on. Charles, some idiot is on the phone talking about he's James Brown and he wants to speak to you." He said, "Patch him through." "Well, is it really James Brown?" "Yes, patch him through." And my dad was friends with James Brown a little bit during that time too. And I remember being at the house one day and I answered the phone. And usually, if I answered the phone upstairs and it was for Daddy, if it was Reverend Walker and them, I'd just yell downstairs, go to the edge of the steps and say, "Daddy, phone." But that day I answered and I said, "Hello?" And they said, "May I speak to Charles O, please?" I'm like, "Who's calling?" "This is Teddy Pendergrass." I'm like, "Oh, hold on, please." So on that one, I ran downstairs and I was like, "Daddy, it's somebody that says that Teddy Pendergrass on the phone. It sounds like him, but who is it playing with me?" "Sonia, it's Teddy Pendergrass. And when you go back up there and you hang up the phone after I pick up, don't slam it down. It's Teddy Pendergrass." So I did what I was told. One time, Verdine White from Earth, Wind, and Fire also came to our house. He came with, there's a group that was out in Enfield named Juicy, Jerry Barnes and Catrice Barnes. They had a song out a long time ago called Sugar Free that somebody else remade. And Catrice went on to be the Saturday Night Live music director. And Jerry now is playing with Nile Rodgers from Chic all over the world. But their dad brought Verdine White by the house. I'm not exactly sure what for. But let's put it this way, they were upstairs and I was downstairs trying to listen. But fast forward, also, my father got the chance to go to the White House to visit with President Jimmy Carter. President Carter decided that he wanted to get together with the black media to find out what black people needed, what was needed in everybody's community all across the United States. So he was one of the first black people in media to visit the White House. And he had clubs open. My father produced Reverend Walker's One Day at a Time, which helped build Ebenezer Baptist Church. It was part of the proceeds from that was a building fund for Ebenezer Baptist Church. And he also helped my mama start South Star. So there's a picture that I had of my mom and dad together in one of the rooms of our house. That was the war room, I called it. And they would hash out everything together. My daddy called my mama the general, so he run stuff by her and they hash it out, or she run stuff by him, ideas by him, and they move forward. But then Dad got the opportunity to purchase WRSV and WEED because Billy Wynn wanted to retire. And he was able to purchase that with the help of Attorney Antonio Lawrence, Reverend Walker, and Arvell Moore. They all three went in together to purchase it, and Mr. Wynn undercut some of the funding so he would have some money in retirement. So years go by, Daddy buys it out, then my father dies, unfortunately. And as my father was dying, my mother was buying a bank building. So she bought the old bank building that's right next door to the PNC down here. It was a Unity Bank building. Then after that, the flood happens. And the radio station was out on Weed Road. It got flooded out. There was 9 feet of water in that building when the flood came. And had to knock that building down. And y'all know the Lord will make a way somehow, because I said my mama had just in 1996, my dad died September 1996. My mama bought her building, I want to say it was either September or October 1996. But thankfully, when the flood came, the radio station was able to move into that building. But the thing of it is you couldn't move in there right away because you had to move all these lines and stuff, because there's lines and phone lines and stuff that go out to the tower. Well, circle back, full circle moment, we were able to go into WCEC's studio. They offered up the same closet that my daddy was in for us to broadcast until we could get up and running. And when my father died, you got to consider, I was 32 years old and my brother was 24. And a 24-year-old opening the mic up, your dad dies the night at midnight on September 8th on a Saturday. And his morning show was Joy in the Morning. Every morning he opened up Joy in the Morning on Sunday morning. And you have to go the next day and open the mic up because there's nobody else to open the mic up. So my brother and my dad's best friend, Bob Arrington, went and opened the mic up that next day. But I've got to say, my brother's done a good job carrying it since my dad's time. And with that, let me go back and mention my mama. My mama, some of y'all may have had insurance with my mama. My mama had South Star Insurance for years. And she did auto insurance and homeowners insurance. And if you were a customer of hers, I'd like to thank you for being a customer. And if you've listened to WRSV, before I get too far, let me thank you all for listening. But to fast forward with Chuck, Chuck took the helm, and his Milton Garrett came along. Oh, yeah, that's a picture of my mama right there, y'all. That's her Dora to Explorer hat. We were going on a trip, and I was like, I looked over, and I'm like, no, you didn't put on a Dora to Explorer hat. But anyway, but she started South Star Insurance, and it was a booming business for 21 years until she decided to retire. And but getting along with, say, my brother and Terrence, you can put Terrence up if you've got the picture of Terrence J. There was a little boy named Terrence J. Y'all might know him. He actually started at Soul 92. When he started, he was 15 years old, and he came to work part-time at Soul 92. And from there, he went on to A&T. He graduated from A&T, Aggie Pride, for y'all's Aggie Pride people. And when he graduated, sometime a year or two after he graduated, 106 and Park on BET had a competition that they needed somebody to replace AJ and Free, who were the video people at that time. And Terrence he decided to try out. And so he called down here and he was like, can all of y'all kind of help me get on? So we all voted for him and called everybody we knew and asked them to vote for him. And Terrence won that. And he went on to be 106 and Park. He's gone on to do movies. He hosts on E! And some of everything else. But I looked up Terrence's net worth last night. That little boy from Rocky Mount, North Carolina is worth $4 million right now walking. So I am pretty proud of where he's come from. But the radio station right now, December 1st, 1974, made WRSV's 50th birthday. When that station opened, I was 9 years old, and I've been working since I was 9 years old. But I'm proud to say that WRSV is 50 this year. WEED is actually 81 this year. That was way before our time, but we inherited it. But, and when Dad had to buy one, he had to buy both, so that's how we inherited WEED as well. But the branding has changed with WRSV, where we went from the mother station to the people station to Soul 92 to Soul 92 Jams, and my brother moved it up to WRSV is now in Raleigh. The station is housed in Raleigh. It's still down here, and we still are down here and have a presence here, but he moved the studio to Raleigh and rebranded it Choice FM. So I'm hoping y'all listen to Choice FM. And everything. He took the Soul 92 out because it seemed that the youngsters didn't recognize soul too much anymore. You know, that's something from our days. Y'all don't recognize soul too much anymore. So we rebranded it Choice FM. But and WEED is still down there in that building down the street on the second floor. So we still have that presence here as well. Now, I wanted to go into, it was one more thing I wanted to say. When my dad used to close out the show, too, Club 810, some of y'all ladies might have thought that he was playing a song for y'all. The last song he played was always for my mama. So I just want to make that clear. And my daddy had a saying, ain't no need to worry about nothing because nothing ain't going to be all right no how. He always ended his show with that. Took me a while to figure out what that meant, and actually I just figured out a couple of years ago what that meant. That slogan actually meant, ain't no need to worry about nothing, Now, what is nothing? Nothing could be you ain't doing nothing, you got nothing, you don't want nothing, just nothing. Well, while it ain't no need to worry about nothing, you can't worry about nothing. Nothing is not going to be all right. You have to do something. So that was the meaning of that slogan. The something is what you need to do. So, in rounding this out, I wanted to go through how radio has changed. Like we have, I hear you, honey. I got you. Okay. Radio has changed. We have automation and voice tracking. You don't have to have a person in the studio anymore to run the radio. You can put their voice on a computer and the computer can run it. Though we do have staff, because you do have to have some personality and some staff when you go out to different events. It's changed from streaming, because I know a lot of y'all do, Spotify and Pandora and TikTok, podcasting, and AI. And even I've written 2 songs for another talk I gave on something called Suno.com. I asked it to write me a gospel song about tomatoes. And it wrote a gospel song. So y'all look up Suno.com if y'all want to try to write a song. But in all ways that radio has changed, it's still here, because one thing about it, when those computers don't work, that terrestrial radio will always work as long as the electricity is running. And some of y'all don't have anything else in your car but the AM and the FM if you've got an older car. So I'd like to ask you all to listen and stuff, but for the young folks, I want to say, please, pay attention to your history, pay attention to school and everything, because when I'm talking about this AI and the podcasting and all of that, that is your future. And you have to pay attention and guide yourself to getting jobs in that future. So that ain't no need to worry about nothing, because nothing ain't going to be all right no how. Remember, you got to do something. All right. Thank you.
So now we will have our soloist come forward. She is an anointed mighty woman of God, Minister Linda Howard. Let us welcome her with a hearty hand clap.
Is it okay if I stand here? Okay. This is great. Hearing all the people in Rocky Mount, history in Rocky Mount, this is great. I love it. I would be singing an old song way before my time, but I'm going to sing it anyhow. And it's Let's Go Down by the River. And back in the old days, in order for the black people to tell the meeting places or where they was going to go, or if they wanted to pray, they can't do like we do today, call you on the phone, so let's meet at the church. They had to do signs. They had to do something to not let the master know what they was doing. So they sung these songs, to tell, and they sung them in the story. They let them know, look, we're going to the river. We're going to pray, whatever we're going to do down at the river. So that's the making of the song, is that can't tell you what we're going to do, but let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. They say, let's go down by the river. 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 We're going down by the river. We're going down by the river. We're going down by the river. Come on, put your hands together. We're going down by the river. Now let's take a look. Now, somebody didn't come to church that day, or they didn't go in the field today to work. You know, they didn't know what was going on. And then here you got all these people just passing by the house, and they trying to figure out where they going. And then, you know, they come into the door and they looking, and then the person look back at them and say, we're going down by the river. Let's go down by the river. There is joy by the river. There is joy by the river. Put it up. Let's go down by the river. 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 We're going down by the river. We're going down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Can y'all pick up the clap for 1 minute? I gotta have a beat. Okay? Come on. Let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Come on. Let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river. Let's go down by the river.
Thank you very much from our soloist for that wonderful piece. And this concludes our Black History program.
Good noon, everyone. I would like to thank each and everyone. First, I want to thank God for allowing us to do this today, to celebrate our Black history. I want you to know each and everyone in here helped me so much, and I'm so happy that you all came out today. I am so happy. And I would like for all my family and friends to stand up, please, which is probably everybody in the church, my friends, and I have family here. Yeah. So, and I also definitely want to thank my pastor, Pastor Connie, for allowing me to coordinate this program. So thank you, and thank you so much. May God bless each of you.
Amen. Come on, let's give the Lord a hand clap of praise. Have y'all been blessed today? Did y'all know we had that much talent in Rocky Mount? I said, did y'all know we had that much talent in Rocky Mount? Amen. I just want to thank Miss Dolores. She mentioned this to me last year after the Black History program. And she said, next year I want to do some local talent. And I had no idea that we were going to have this much local talent. And she has done a great job. Let's give her a hand clap of praise. Come on, let's just give her a standing ovation. Look what the Lord has done. Amen. We just thank God. We know the time is getting short, so we're going to go ahead and get ready for our offering. If we could just get our offering ways to give up on the screen. For those of you who are here in the sanctuary, there are several ways you can give. There's an envelope on the back of your seat. You can give by cash or check. If you're making out checks, make them out to HGM. We do thank everybody for coming out today, and if you have been blessed by this program today and you want to sow into this ministry so that we can do more like this. As a matter of fact, somebody had called me last night and they needed a ride. So we never know what people will come out. But you can also give through Cash App. I know the young folks might have Cash App. Givelify is an app that you can get on your phone, as well as we have text to give, so you can text to give, as well as for those who are watching us online still, you can mail in a check as well. So go ahead and get your tithes and offerings together. You don't have to put it in the envelope if you don't want to. You can just put it in the basket. Let's give our ushers a hand clap of praise. Look at our young ushers. Is Landon here? Landon? Okay. Okay, so we have, is it Zion? Where's Zion? Okay, all right, he's back there. Zara and Zamora McDonald. Let's give them one more hand clap of praise for ushering. And also for our greeters, we have Destiny Walston. Raise your hand. Amen, let's give it up for her. Trey Jones. Where's Trey? All right, thank you, Trey. I think that's my cousin, right? And Nakira Johnson. Let's give it up for her. Amen. And I forgot one more thing before we do the offering. Let's give it up for all of our participants today. They did a wonderful job. Amen. Thank you all so much for coming out. At this time, let's stand so we can receive our offering, and we're going to go ahead and do the announcements for our online audience. Can we give it up one time for our online audience who's been watching online? We thank God for them. And if you want to go back and watch this again, which I hope you will, go back. You can watch it on my Facebook page. You can watch it on Higher Ground Ministries Facebook page, or you can go to YouTube. So you have 3 ways that you can do it. All right?